Go ahead, Katie. Tell us where you are.
Okay, so I want to tell you everything. So today was supposed to be my day off, and then I got a call at around 9 o'clock this morning. Can you come in? Which is totally part of the job. I think you're always on call. So of course I said yes. I'm always so excited to come into work. Like my days off, I'm like, what am I going to do today? So I was very excited to come in. I actually think I made my manager laugh on the phone a little because I'm like, yeah, I'll come. Sure. Thank you. She's like, okay. You shouldn't be so excited about coming into work, but that's good. So I literally ran out of the house. I still haven't put any of my makeup on, which I'm like, whatever. I'll get it on before I go live. So I rushed into work, and I got sent on. My original story was supposed to be talking about COVID numbers and how they are going up in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I think they're the highest they've been since May. So that was my original story for the day. So I reached out to a health professional. I want to show you how crazy my day can get. So I reached out to a health professional. I was on my way to City Hall to interview people about the rising numbers. And as I'm there, I get another phone call. We're changing your story. Go to the University of Delaware. A couple of students there who are on the swim team attended a party and are all suspended now. They're negative for COVID, so that is great, but they still went to this party and there are consequences for that. So then we started driving all the way down to Delaware. So I had to cancel my interviews, got back in the van, left City Hall, started driving to Delaware, and had to jump on this story and start making phone calls about this. And I'm interviewing students, and I know a lot of Temple students. I think just because I went to Temple and I go to classes there all the time. So I started texting a bunch of Temple students. Hey, do you have friends that go to the University of Delaware? I need to interview students. So I'm constantly on my phone on our drive down. I'm just messaging everyone to get my story going. So now I'm at the University of Delaware, and I'm inside our news van. And this is what the back of the news van looks like. So I have my laptop here, and this is where I do all of our interviews are in the computer now, and I'm listening to them. And then I don't know, this looks pretty cool and futuristic back here, or maybe not futuristic. I don't know. I don't know what all these buttons do. This is not my territory here, but this is what the back of our news van looks like. I've got my raincoat here, so I can walk you guys through what I bring with me and all that stuff. But hello to everyone watching. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, especially from the back of the news van. And we'll have to get the story that you're working on. We'll have to show to the class later.
Yes. Yeah. I'm supposed to be live at 5 and 6 o'clock. So okay. You guys can tune in and see how the final product.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. We'll see the full process. And our other guest has arrived. I'm not used to this big of a Zoom. Mary, there she is. Hello, Mary.
Hi, how are you guys?
Very good.
We have a full house today.
We do.
The kids on screen.
So happy to have you. And yes, I do want to acknowledge our students here that almost all of them have their screens on, which is for some out of the comfort zone. And part of Career Chatter is definitely advocating for pushing yourself out of the comfort zone. So yay, students. Thank you. And I mean that. So we had a little segue from Katie about her job. On the job. So Mary, can you introduce yourself a little bit and give the students a little background of what your life is like right now?
So my name is Mary Chan. My daughter is Ashley Gamis, she's a senior there. And my other daughter Emily, she graduated last year, but I am the CHRO/operations officer for Colliers International. So I oversee for the Greater Philadelphia region. So I oversee the entire Greater Philadelphia region. And there's 6 or 7 offices. I think there's 7 offices involved. There's over 500 people. It's just, I oversee everything from top to bottom, everything, construction, everything. So, we can get into that more later. I don't know how far you want me to get right now.
So first, I will just say there was a lot of letters in that. What is CHRO?
Sorry, Chief Human Resources Officer.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yes.
So your company does something, but you are in charge of the people. So that's what you mean by everybody. So it doesn't matter really what they do.
Yeah. So my company is a commercial real estate organization. So I see that this is a money and investing class, right? So I think our organization deal with a lot of finances, financing for, commercial buildings and properties. So we are a global commercial real estate firm. I oversee this entire greater Philadelphia region. So that's Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. That's what I oversee.
Okay, wow. All right, so we'll definitely get to you when we get to the how do you handle stress topic. Okay, so, and Mary, you weren't here when I said this, but Katie actually is only going to be here until 2:30. So we'll go back and forth, but I might be kind of asking the students if they have questions for her because she's going to be leaving.
Yep.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
So before we even get into any of the questions that you all typed, does anybody have any questions for Katie before I dive in?
I saw that it was James speaking. James, your mic is having a little bit of a problem. Could you type in the chat?
And also, could you take off that Dallas Cowboys hat?
Yes.
For real.
Yay, Colin, I like that hat.
That's enough.
Okay, so James, type that into the chat, whatever question you had. But for now, Andrea, can you ask your question that you had? You can ask either one.
What is your least favorite part of your job? Like something that you dread to do?
Oh man. So the question was, what's the least favorite part of my job? That's a really good question. And every job you're not going to have, you're not going to like every single aspect of it. I think the least favorite part of my job is when I have to do a really sad interview. Like if I have to meet someone who, because I cover news in the entire Delaware Valley. So sometimes news is not good. And I have to go to a fire where someone lost their family member, or a shooting where someone lost a family member. And those are some of the hardest stories to do. And you just feel this huge lump in your stomach, your heart drops down and you just feel awful. I don't want to get out of the van and talk to these people on literally the worst day of their lives, but I know that I have to do it because I have to get the news out so that this can't happen again to someone else, and it's very difficult to do that. But I have to think about the greater picture and not just myself. And, yes, this is uncomfortable for me to do, but I know that I have to do this to get the message out. That's part of my job. So I have to think about the greater picture, not just myself and my own feelings. Yeah. But it's so hard every time. It's really difficult. Yeah. It's a good question.
That is a good question. Thank you. Mary, do you have a response for the word? It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's good to just get right to it. What's the worst part?
Yeah, I think I'm going to piggyback off of what Katie said. No matter what job you go into, there's never going to be, oh my God, I love every aspect of my job, but I think I don't know what I don't know what is the I don't know what aspect of my job I don't like. I think I like it all because it's all challenging for me. I can't think of anything bad right now. I think it's, dealing with this, with COVID, when our employees, we had some of our employees who caught COVID. That was sad, but that's, every day it's different. That's why it's hard for me to pinpoint what it is, because every day just looks different for me.
Thank you. We talked about that in our last session about how that's like something that you should need to know when you're thinking about your future. Like, do you like a job that's different every day, that's unpredictable, that you can't plan ahead? Or is that too much for you, causes too much anxiety? You want a job that is very predictable and the same thing every day. So that's good. You got some common themes. And James asked his question on the chat. How do you time manage?
I cheat. I have a secretary, so I cheat. I need her to remind me, because if not, I will. I actually have a couple people who reminds me of things in my calendar, but that doesn't really help me. I need people to actually physically pick up the phone and call me.
That is a very honest answer.
Yes, I'm sorry, guys.
No, we need you to be honest, because then you, like, how does she have it all together? Well, she has a little bit of help, so that's good.
Yes.
So I have to manage myself, but I have a very strict deadline. Like, I have to be live on television at 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock. So I know that, like, if I don't get it done, I have nothing to show for it. Then I can't go live on television, and basically I don't have a job. So everything's on the line for me if I don't manage my time properly. So I have to I make like mental notes in my head. I'm a huge procrastinator, and I've been that way since high school. But I think procrastinating in a way is helpful for my job, because I have to do everything last minute most of the time. So it's because I'm so used to procrastinating and getting everything done fast, like writing my paper at the last minute really fast. That helps me with this job, because in high school, I used to start most of my papers the night before it was due. And then I would wake up early in the morning and I would finish my paper. So that has helped me with this job, because sometimes I have an hour to put something together, and I know how to stay focused for that amount of time and get it done really fast. So it might have been a negative quality that I was a procrastinator, but it's helpful for this job.
We definitely talked about that last time too. We're not saying you should procrastinate. The important part is that you just know yourself and know what you need in order to get things done, and if it's better for you. Some people need to get things done right away because they cannot deal with that feeling. So students, how many of you get your assignments done 24 hours before they're due?
You can hit the reaction buttons at the bottom.
Yeah, there's a reaction button at the bottom. How many of you get it done like as it's due, like, or later? As a woman in your field, do you feel more pressure to execute to a higher standard? Love the question. And whichever one of you wants to take that first. Oh, everyone's being polite. Isn't that nice? Mary, you could go first. Go ahead.
So I am in a male-dominated industry, and honestly, I would say that answer would have to be yes for my position. I think that's how I got the position where I'm at today, because I had to fight for it. But of course, in a diplomatic way. Like, you don't go in just fighting for something abruptly, but. Yes, as a female, I do have to work harder, and that's that's the honest answer.
We're here for some honesty, so thank you.
My answer is that, so I remember being in high school looking up bios on different news channels, stations, like who works for that station. I would look up their bios, and I would always click on all the women's bios, just subconsciously. Like, I never clicked on a man's bio. I would always click on other females, and especially younger women, I would click on them. And I think that's because I felt like I look like this person. I can relate to this person. How did they get to where they are? How are they on a news station website's bio? And how do I get on, how do I get to work for a news station? And now I realize that's because like they looked like me, and I felt like, okay, like this is representation, and if they can get to this level, I can get to this level. And so I think it's so important to have women like in so many different careers, because you want to see someone who looks like you, and then you think, okay, like I can get to that point too. I mean, if there was someone who worked for a local station who was from Abington, I would have absolutely been looking at all of their stories, constantly following what they were doing online, because I would say, this person looks like me, is from the same town as me. I want to have their job one day. How do I get that? So I think it's so important. And as a woman, I bring a lot of different, I think I bring the right perspective sometimes to certain stories where you need that female perspective to cover a story. So sometimes it's very helpful that, because I'm a woman, I think a certain, or I see things from my perspective growing up as a female, and I can bring that to the story. So it's really helpful.
That was a great question, Andrea. And,
Ms. Correct, Colin and Jaden and Maya all posted some good questions.
Okay, great.
Do any of your students want to unmute yourself? And
yeah, Colin, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, so it was like, when did you first know that you wanted the job that you have now?
I first knew that I wanted the job that I have now when I was 11 years old. I was in 5th grade. I went to Roslyn Elementary, and we did the $1 Million Project there. Did you guys? I'm sure you all did that too. And if you had $1 million, what would you do with $1 million? And I said, we used to get Time magazine into my house. And I remember I read an article on there about how girls in Afghanistan couldn't go to school. And I said to my dad, hey, if I had $1 million, I'd build a school for these girls in Afghanistan and send them to school. And so that was my $1 million project. And most other people did. I would do a dream wedding. I would open up a yacht club or something with $1 million. I'm like, I want to do this. And this was before Photoshop days. So I cut out pictures from the magazine of like women in burqas. And then I had my dad take a picture of me in our backyard, and I was holding a microphone, and I had a backpack on me. Like I was interviewing them, I stuck the microphone out. So then we like printed that picture out, and I like cut it and put it next to the picture in Time magazine. So I was interviewing those women, and I put that story together. It was my very first public presentation. I'm sure you guys remember, all the parents come into class and they watch you give your presentation. And I was so nervous to speak in front of the class. But once I got up, I started feeling really confident. I really enjoyed talking to everyone about all these facts that I had just gathered and presenting it to everyone. And that's when I realized I want to be a journalist. I think this is so cool. I love this, that I can gather all this information, put it together, and then present it to people. And I never changed my mind since then. So shout out to anyone who went to Roslyn Elementary. That is where I found out what I wanted to do.
Let's practice this reaction button. Do we have any Roslyn people? Let's go over.
Where do you both see yourselves in 10 years?
Good question. I think for me, I think I'm going to go back to my own consulting company eventually in 10 years.
Wow.
For me, in 10 years, I hope to be right where I am. I hope to be at Action News forever. I love this job. It is totally my dream job. I'm so happy to be reporting in my hometown. I wanted this job since 11 years old, and I said this in the last career chatter that I did. I thought about this job literally every single day of my life, starting my senior year of high school at Abington, because I was thinking about college. Where do I want to be? And so every single day since then, honestly, not a day has gone by where I hadn't thought, how do I become a reporter? Like, I need to do this. How am I going to get this done to have this job? So it is very cool when your dreams literally come true and you have that dream job. But then there is that added pressure of, oh my gosh, I have my dream job now. How do I keep it? And how do I do a good job and live up to the expectation I've been building up in my mind for so many years?
Okay, so Katie, I want to be respectful of your time. It's 2:25. So do you want to say anything? And just so you know, some of the questions that are coming up deal with a little bit of stress management, but just anything you want to say to the students.
I just want to say that I learned so much about myself at Abington High School, and I know not everyone has probably thought about what they want to do in their careers, but because I knew what I wanted to do, every project that I had in high school, I somehow turned it into like a journalism project if I could. Like if we had to give a presentation, I would pretend like I was on live with Kelly and Ryan and like I was interviewing someone, or I was doing a newspaper story, or I always tried to center any project that I could, because I think a lot of teachers give you creativity like that to make it journalism centric. And there's so many resources at Abington that let me explore this field and make sure that I really wanted to do it. Like I did the morning announcements. I did the media internship project that we have at school. So all that stuff really helped me a lot. I did AMTV. On top of that, though, I will say that in general, the teachers were so supportive that when I went to college and was still figuring out like, man, this is a tough field, I would go back and visit teachers constantly at Abington because they truly care. And it wasn't just my English teachers. I would go back and visit science teachers, math teachers. Like these teachers truly cared about me, and they had no need to talk to me after I graduated, but they wanted to hear from me and they welcomed me to come. And after school, I would go and visit them in class. And I still keep in touch with them now, which is just so awesome to have that huge support system. And no one's paying me to say that. I'm just being honest. So I think it's really cool that we come from such an awesome school and community that really does care. And you might not feel that in high school, but when you graduate, you'll see it. And I've definitely felt that too, which is why I came back.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that. And we'll have to have you come back because we have some more questions, but I'll gather them.
Yeah, I really wish I could.
No, we appreciate the time you gave, and I'm sure you'll be back.
Yes, I'll be back. You guys can watch. I'll be on at 5 and 6 o'clock with my story. And any questions, just send them over to me and I'll try to answer them because I care also and I want to answer them.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, I'm going to leave.
Bye, Katie.
Mary, I was going to just piggyback on that question about your consulting. So why would you, because some people would say, you kind of made it, huge company. Why would you want to change it?
So I'm going to go back to that last question that Colin that asked. So my story is a little bit opposite from Katie's. When I was younger, I always wanted to be two things: a hairdresser, like a hair colorist, and a lawyer. And I didn't know which path to go on. So right after high school, I graduated, and I went right into beauty school. I have my license to color hair. From there, I went and I was a paralegal at a law firm. So I was kind of doing two jobs because I couldn't figure out which one I wanted to get into, because I feel like everyone has this side of their brain to them where it's like they want to use their artistic side and then they want to use their intellect side. And I couldn't figure out which way I wanted to go. And for many years, it ended up just being my full-time job was at a law firm and my part-time job was just doing hair, and that's what paid my college. So I took a gap year and went to beauty school. And I don't regret it because, it did help me, pay for all, bachelor's and my master's. I'm in school now getting my doctorate. So, and I feel like every 5 to 10 years, we all need to sit down and kind of look at ourselves and say, where is it that we want to go from here? Because just speaking for myself, and I say the same thing to my kids, there's never unless there is a dream job that you have, that like Katie, but I think for the most of us, we all have to sit down and look at ourselves and try to figure out, if that's the right path you want to go on, or I don't know. I'm a risk taker. I'm a go-getter. So I'm always going to shift careers. Like I'm at the top of my career in my industry now. The next level is to become a CEO, and that's not what I want for a large organization. I don't want to be a CEO for Colliers. It's too big of an organization, too much stress. So that's why I want to eventually go into my own consulting company.
Okay. And have like a tighter hold on things.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Bowley.
Mary, can you explain to the students what consulting is? Because there's so many different ways that we can consult people, and I want them to understand what you're talking about. Like for you, what does that look like?
So for me, I have all this experience under my belt in terms of HR and operations. So my consulting firm would be helping organizations, with their people management or infrastructure, any like HR infrastructures they may need, or any type of operational infrastructure that they may need. So that's what a consulting firm is basically just people paying for your knowledge and your expertise.
Good question, Mr. Bowley. That was good, because it can mean so many different things.
Yeah.
And the students don't realize that is an option for later on in their careers. So students, you build a career, you gain all this knowledge, experience, a network, you become a really, really valuable resource for other people. So in essence, you become a teacher or a mentor or a support system for other people because you have become very successful in your careers. So keep that in mind for later on, and down the road, a lot of people will take all of the knowledge, all of the skills, the expertise that they have gained in one aspect of their career, and then they can offer that to someone else to help other people grow, expand, change, what have you.
Very good.
Just getting back on what Mary said about changing careers. Years ago, a person could get a job and you could expect to have that job for your entire lifetime. And that really isn't a viable option for anyone anymore. So keeping yourself fresh and readjusting your expectations for yourself and your aspirations for yourself, that's a great way to keep growing and keeping yourself fulfilled and positive and moving forward.
Definitely not like the 40-year plan like it used to be when you get
Definitely
a job.
Definitely not.
What's your favorite part of your job?
I think my favorite part of my job is it's always different every day. It's just different. It's creative. I have to come up with creative ways to solve a problem. It's always reactionary. I don't know if you guys know what I mean by that. I'm always on a go, because my job, I'm putting out fires all day long. So that I like that part of my job. I also have proactive part of my job too, where I'm planning for the future. But I think that's the best part of my job is putting out the fires.
Can you give an example of a fire that you put out, say, this summer, just so they have an idea?
This summer? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this summer, COVID hit. We had to pivot, really quickly because our organization had to shut down very quickly. And there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes on that. We have a lot of older people who work in our organization who aren't really tech savvy. So it was kind of difficult to pivot very quickly and get everybody on computers and get training in for all the older folks who don't really understand, technology. So that was a fire that lasted 3 months, and I was pivoting like every day, So yeah.
So how did you, I'm going to focus on this too much, but so how did you bring those people into the fold, like that weren't into technology too much?
Or we do that? Well, it was a lot of teamwork. I had a lot of cross training going on I jumped in myself, from top level. I had all the top executives jump in. We all came together as a family and we got it done, a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of phone calls, a lot of training, a lot of training, a lot of remoting in from our IT team to make it happen. So there are still minor challenges, but we're getting there.
That's good. Teamwork comes up a lot in these visits. So let's see. So Andrea, do you want to ask your next question about stress?
Yeah, I asked, how do you handle like high stress levels in like certain situations?
I would say I started meditating, and that really helps me out a lot. So just, in my industry, it's a lot of fake it till you make it. And then when I come home, it's I need my alone time. I'm in my room, I'm meditating. That's very crucial for me.
Thank you. That was a good question. And I think someone on a presentation, we do a presentation before you come in, and they offer questions, and that kind of relates to one of the questions that was, how do you balance home and work? So you kind of just described it a little bit, but. Okay, so if you could get, let's skip to Tamara. Tamara, can you ask your question?
I wanted to ask, like, how did you find inspiration to do the job you're doing?
How do I find inspiration? I think it's a passion of mine to help people. So I just keep going back to my passion. I just keep finding my passion, or, you fake it till you make it. that really, really faking it till you making it is actually, it's a motivator in itself.
Okay, good. Thank you. And Andrew, you have one other. Andrew, you're doing amazing. You're going to make so much extra credit with Mr. Foley. Do you want to ask it, Andrew?
Yeah, I said, if you could give one piece of advice to us, what would it be?
One piece of advice. Okay, so I guess I'll give you the same advice I give my daughters. Just always work hard. In life. Don't give up. You're gonna have a lot of doors closed on you. Don't let it discourage you. Find a lesson in each closed door and learn from it and keep moving. And then you'll get to where you belong or where you want to be.
That was really good. Hold on, I'm writing it down.
That is good. One of our guests in our in-person career chatters, he talked about how he knocked on about 60 different doors, and door number 61 was the one that opened for him. I'd give up, I think, after 5, but don't give up. So, and he ended up being really successful. He just kept trying and trying until something stuck.
We just had another question from Jaden, and after Jaden asks his question, I'm going to go to Robert. So go ahead, Jaden.
What is your greatest achievement?
My greatest, I would say, achieving my position where I'm at now, because this is a highly male-dominated industry. I was the first female minority in my seat, so I'm very proud of it.
That's awesome. Jaden, do you want to ask the second part?
Oh, yeah. And then my second part to that question was, what is one thing that you hope to accomplish by the time you retire?
Wow. That's a good question. I don't know. I would have to really think about that one. Because I like I said earlier, every 5 years, I kind of sit down and I analyze and I set a new goal, and then I reach that goal. That's what I do every 5 years, so I would have to really think about that one.
All right.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
then what is your goal right now that you're trying to achieve?
I just went back to school for my doctorate, so I'm trying to achieve that goal. And from there, I don't know. Let's see what happens after I graduate. Let's see what the new goal is.
What is your doctorate in?
A business, finance and business.
Cool, man. Okay, you definitely have your hands full between getting a doctorate and your full-time job and being.
Oh yes.
Oh my Lord. That is great. Does anybody have any questions before I go back to our questions from earlier?
So I'm going to interject real quick because this group of students, the way we start off money and investing is by doing a career planning unit. So they're practicing writing cover letters. They're putting together their resumes. They're writing some potential responses to interview questions. As the director of HR for an international firm, what are some of your go-to interview questions for people coming in, or who, like your team? What are some of those interview situations that they present to candidates?
So I have a very unique interview style, and a lot of HR people would go in and have a set of questions, and they would say, okay, this is the format. The question is, where do you want to go in 5 years? Tell me a little bit about yourself. I don't do that. I ask scenario questions, and I also ask questions like, it's very unique because I kind of get to know you as an individual. It's kind of hard. I don't go in with a set of questions and say, and it depends on the position I'm interviewing for. So for example, when I hired my secretary, the first question I asked her was, hey, if I were to give you $20 and I sent you to the store to pick me up some oranges, tell me what your response would be. And the people who would say, well, I'm going to go to the store and buy you your oranges, I wouldn't hire them, because I don't want somebody who's going to just do as I say. I want somebody to think outside the box. So, my secretary that I hired, her response was, well, I would ask you what you need the oranges for, what kind of oranges you need, how much are you willing to spend on the oranges? So those are, you know what I mean? So that was an example question that I asked my secretary, because I wanted somebody to think outside the box. So it really depends on the position I'm hiring for. I don't go in with just a set of questions. That doesn't work for me, because a standard set of questions doesn't help me understand who you are as a person.
So what advice do you have to give to this crew as they prepare for potential interviews, whether it's for a college program, whether it's a job, their future career? How would you best prepare for an interview?
Just be yourself, be yourself. Understand the organization. Number one, you have to know the organization, know the position inside and out, and be yourself and be an out the box thinker. Don't go in with just, okay, I'm just going to answer, these questions, just be yourself and give an honest answer. That's the best advice I could give to high school students,
Thank you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And out 3 resume no-nos. So as they're polishing up their resumes, what are 3 things that you do not want to see on a resume?
Check your email addresses. Make sure it's not, hotchick@hotmail.com. That's a big no-no. The second, check your spelling and grammar, errors. Check for all of that. And check fonts. I hate fonts. I hate when I see like cut and paste fonts. Don't do that. It's actually, when you copy a resume, just a little tip for you guys, when you copy a resume, and you edit that resume and just add your name to it, the system won't pick up on it. It won't pick up on it. You have to start from scratch. You have to have your Word document and start from scratch because you're doing a lot of online submitting your resumes, and the system would just automatically reject your resume if you are using a template. So just watch out for that.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you. You just said everything I was hoping you would say.
Students, do you have any final questions? Because we're going to be wrapping it up. It's almost time to be finished.
So, like, I want to be a real estate agent or a RN when I get older, and I was thinking, like, do you have any ideas, like, of what, I don't know, like, about real estate?
Yeah, I mean, are you, I can go, well, a high overview of it. Real estate is it's a lot of hard work, okay? And it's really understanding the market. You have to understand, you do have to understand financials. You have to understand the numbers. Understanding economy is very crucial. I don't really know like how to answer that for like a high school student. Like, I don't know how broad I should go or how deep in.
So for our friend Tamara, if she was trying to make the decision between entering the real estate sector or pursuing a nursing career, what advice could she, like, what are some activities she might take on as a high school student, maybe experiences, people she could follow or organizations she should research, just to get a feel for the different types of careers? I think she just is looking for some guidance on how to make that decision for herself. But like you said,
how to make that decision. Okay. So I would say reach out to Remax, or what we do is we do commercial real estate, which is a little bit different than residential real estate. So there's a lot of different sectors of real estate, like within the commercial realm, there's retail, there's industrial, there's office division, and then with the residential side, there's duplexes, there's things that there's family, so you have to really dive into and do your research and figure out like, which real estate, you want to go into. But I think the broader question is, because she's trying to figure out if she wants to become a nurse or a real estate, right? So I'm going to tell you what the difference is between those two, okay? I'm going to tell you that in real estate, it's high risk, high reward. In RN, you're set. You're set with financial. It's not high risk, high reward. So you have to look at yourself and see if you are a person who likes to take risks. What I mean by high risk, high reward is there's going to be a year where you're going to make $0, and you need to be okay with that. You need to have, and you keep going, but then the next year you can make $300,000. So that's what I mean by high risk, high reward. Whereas if you become an RN, you can make $75,000 a year, and that's steady from year one. So it's, and when I say that it's hard work being in real estate, you have to understand that it's very, very competitive as well. So you're competing against, so many other real estate agents out there. So you have to be not only high risk, but you have to be charming. You have to be able to fake it till you make it. Like that's a term, I do that a lot every day. So you really, really have to figure out who you are as a person and what it is that you really, can handle, and then, try to figure it out from there.
That was really good. Thank you. That was a really nice way to frame that.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yes. Thank you for that. Any other last minute questions? Okay, good. So Ms. Tivoli, you can go ahead and close us off. This class, this is their first virtual career chatter. So they'll know that Ms. Tivoli has a way of ending them. So go ahead.
Mary, you're going to appreciate this because I had both of your daughters and I know that their specialty is cheerleading. So at the end of each career chatter, we like to bring it in because all of our guests so far have been Abington alumni or Abington parents, and it's just a really nice way. So students, we're going to do a ghost on 3 to finish up our session. We put our hands in. Everybody hands in. Let's go. Thank you. Yeah, hands in. Ghost on 3. Ghost on 3. Ghost on 3. 1, 2, 3. Go.
Ghost. Thank you so much, students. Ms. Tivoli, are they dismissed? The student, Mary, can you stay for 1 minute?
You are dismissed. I'll see you all, or I'll chat with you
Thank
Wednesday
you,
morning.
students. Great question.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
So good. So good, students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.